Welcome back. The recording has started. We play at the Gauntlet, and today is another time for Atitlan Riders. Coming of age, took fast, took furious Central American, powered by the Apocalypse game. And it features young people who want to live their dreams and who have a secret identity as tuk-tuk racing drivers. This is our second session. We have a new player. Hi, Brian. Good to have you. And we will possibly later do character introduction. Would you just introduce yourself by your real name and pronouns so I can address you if necessary? Can we start with you, Barry?
Yeah, I'm Barry, and my pronouns are he, him.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, I'm Brian, he, him.
And Diana?
As I go by Diana Moon, she, her.
And Sabine?
And I'm Sabine, and you can use any pronouns you like.
And my name is Gerrit, or Gerrit. I don't mind the pronunciation, and I'm he, him. So, as I promised before the recording, last time you picked setting elements, and I have chosen pictures from these setting elements, and I wanted to quickly show them to you before we then discuss quickly what has happened last time when we were around, and then I would like to tell you a little bit more about the rules, because we didn't do that last time, then do character introduction, if you don't mind, and finally go back to our act, because we stopped in the middle of an act. So I just quickly share with you the setting. So we are in Santiago Atitlan, and one setting element which we picked, the place we picked was the volcano, on the top of the volcano, and we decided it's on the top of Toliman, and you can ignore the text. That is like for the final version of the game. But what we decided is that there is like a ritual, a maturity ritual going on, and it's also a secret meeting place for Mina, if I remember correctly. And yeah, there's a maturity ritual. Like you have to climb up there. It's like a night climb. You start like early in the morning, like at 1 a.m. to climb up there. It's really cold, but somehow a magical place. Santiago is surrounded by 3 volcanoes, and this is just the second highest with 3,500 meters. We also picked strong winds, and the winds actually have names of mythical creatures, and there's, for example, the Shukumil, that's the dragon snake, that's the wind which comes from the south. Strong winds have an advantage. They make planes fly high. Today we won't have Amaya with us. That is Michael's character. But Amaya was like excited to get a plane running in these strong winds. And Radio Voz Atitlan is also playing an important role for us. That is the local radio station where you can listen to marimba and church prayers, live events, like where people are can keep themselves up to date with what is going on. It's actually really popular in town. Radio Voz Atitlan, and the final element we have, and that is featuring my son, is we are in hurricane season, and that means there is sometimes a lot of rain. And usually rain season means 1 hour in the afternoon and we are all fine and have a wonderful blue sky rest of the day. Dry season means no rain at all, blue sky every day. But hurricane season means the Caribbean is like full of hurricanes and it's dangerous there. It's not that dangerous here, but we just have a lot of rain coming. And rain, in the worst case, could cause mudslides. Because of agriculture, there's a lot of loose mud, soil, yeah, and it can all slide. And just 15 years ago, a mudslide came down and a whole village very close to Santiago, belonging to Santiago, got completely covered and many people died. Okay, that is what we did for for setting creation. What we then did last time was we took all the time we wanted for creating our characters. And that meant that we picked like to which family we belong. We picked a playbook. We looked at the truths everybody believes in, and we decorated tuk-tuks. And with Brian, I have done everything except for the tuk-tuk decoration before we started playing. So he also has a character. And what we then did, we started with the first act. But to that we come back when we have done character introduction. But before we do that, maybe we can just give you a little idea about where the game goes. Like on one of the introduction pages in the material, there's like a list of what to do in the game. And that helps to understand what your characters are supposed to do. I mean, this game is not based like on a TV show directly. It is not based like on tropes directly. So it needs a little bit more explanation what is actually about to happen. So you all have family relations. You have your truths, 4 truths at the beginning, and you have your extra, which depends on your playbook. Your playbook decides which kind of extra you have. And then there are the setting elements with which you can interact. And finally, the idea is to roll the interesting basic moves because they allow you to get influence over others and let the others get influence over you. Influence is something bad, is something which like is affecting you finally negatively. It might be nice to have power over somebody, but in the end, it's about learning how to give that up to be like a better human in the end. And so what you try to achieve is to get influence over somebody and they have influence over you. And when that happens, you can trigger a move called Resolve Influence. And then the influence of the 2 characters, that can also happen with an NPC, is resolved. It goes away and your character progresses. And you come closer to the end of your character arc when you have that happen. The other thing what you have is, and I didn't introduce that last time, is the unforgettables. When you grow up, when you get older, you collect memories which might stay with you for the rest of your life. We all know about this somehow. And an unforgettable is a currency. You start with 1 of them, and they come in 4 flavors, like furious and cool are 2 of the flavors. And before you roll a move, any move, you can say, I want to make this move unforgettable. And then this move will stay with you. No matter how good or bad you roll, it doesn't change anything mechanically, but you write that down and you have used this unforgettable as used, and you have a memory of your character. It's one of these artifacts you create in the game. And these unforgettables are, in the end, when your character story is told, they help you to have a happy ending for your character. Just as you might know from a game like Fiasco, there is a roll at the end which defines how well the destiny for your character goes, which gives you a direction how to tell the story of your epilogue. And the unforgettables are the currency in your favor. All influence which are not resolved are against you on this final roll. So you want to resolve influence, and you want to get unforgettables and use them for such moves. Yeah, and how to get unforgettables, a good way to get them, everybody gets 1 when they enter a tuk-tuk race. Tuk-tuk racing is in this game, therefore, to solve big conflicts. So we might come to a point where we say, okay, it's time for a tuk-tuk race, because we just ran under a situation of tension. This can be a minor thing, like who goes first to the mayor to tell the real story about what happened at the laundry bay, for example. Then we go for a race for that. The races are magical realism. That means you can do stupid and amazing things in these races, and in the end, nobody will like investigate. They won't call the police and whatever happened. But it's like as it has happened, but everybody pretends it's totally normal what has happened. So the market stand is still collapsed, but nobody is like really concerned about this. Okay, this is all what I wanted to tell you about what could happen on that part. What Brian doesn't know yet is like that we have an act structure, but we come back to that after character creation. I can tell you more about that then. All right. Do you feel ready for introducing your characters? Can we start with Sabine's Pedro, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Pedro Takashoy is a weed dealer, I guess. He's not very subtle about it because that would take too much effort, actually. He's rather laid back. He wears cool hats. And he has 3 younger sisters who are totally annoying, and a family that has a reputation for being weird. And I think that's because they are very superstitious. And yeah, what Pedro wants out of life, I don't know. I think he hasn't figured that out. But he knows that the mayor's wife is really into the wheat trade, and yeah, then he thinks that can give him leverage when he has that figured out what he wants. And he and Marcus, that's Barry's character, had a nice scene at the end of last session.
Oh yes, yeah, the mayor's wife. Yeah, the mayor and his wife, they are from the Sochwell family, right? So that is actually Diego's family, interestingly. But yeah, let's continue with Marcus Sosov.
So Marcus, they them pronouns, uses the Joker playbook. Marcus is a Tz'utujil teacher in Santiago Atitlan, and is responsible for, I think, a lot of like short education for missionary groups that are coming in, and they feel a lot of tension around this because one of the things that they hold true is that environmental destruction is caused by greed, and that like none of us is innocent from that, and so they have like some real confidence issues around being in the line of work that they are and contributing to people coming to Santiago Atitlan, especially people who are coming to like kind of undermine the way that we live our lives here. But the money's good, unfortunately. And one of the things that Marcus is hoping to do is to get more of a slice of life of Santiago Atitlan here, and like a preservation of the local culture onto Radio Vas Atitlan, so that way people can understand the life that we have here without having to book expensive and damaging flights and come into this place to upend what we're like, the life that we're living.
Thank you very much. And then we have Mina Alvarado.
Yes, my character's full name is Xitla Mina Maria Alvarado, but everyone just calls her Mina. She is using the Rebel playbook, and her main job is being a prostitute, but not just any old sort of prostitute. She connects with other people who identify as queer or questioning, so to give them a safe space to be able to explore that physically with somebody. Since Guatemala and most of Central America, most of Latinidad are very homophobic and misogynist, unfortunately, due to colonialism. So that's mainly what she does to make a good chunk of money, though she does once in a while service the white tourists that come by, because it's easy money there. And her whole thing is about subverting what's expected of an indigenous woman, where we're supposed to be quiet and unassuming and just let the machismo run around rampant. And she doesn't do that. So, and she likes to show off not just her body, but like wearing clothes that wouldn't be considered like normal, in a sense, a little bit more extravagant kind of style. Nothing like super fancy or brand named, because she really isn't, because she's a rebel. So she's not about like, what's considered like the best thing ever. So she has a pretty easygoing attitude, despite her profession. Her family just doesn't understand her. She has more of an annoyance with her family. She loves her family, but they never seem to like get on a path where they can become successful and live like, in a like go higher up in the class system, even though it's extremely hard anyways. So, but they're always coming to her for money, because like, oh, well, you always seem to have money. And it's like, well, Mina works for it and everything. And she's pretty friendly with everybody else. I had readjusted her stats once I understood the stats a little bit better. That the reason like she has a negative in Corazon Heart is because she puts herself off, like she has this barrier, even though she claims she doesn't have a barrier, to like connect with anybody, because everyone's always expecting one thing of her and don't really see her for who she is. So she can be a little oblivious to like a certain somebody having maybe a crush on her, who might be in the weed business. And yeah, so that's pretty much her. But she likes to be friendly with people and bring what's the word I'm looking for? An inviting presence to non-heterosexual people.
We have seen that last time, yes. Indeed, yeah. Yeah, feel free to swap stats. That is totally what I want you to explore. And then we have our newcomer to town, self-confident Diego Soruel, who has a plan.
Yes. Diego's going to solve the problem that I just found out exists. That the postal service has been shut down, and so I guess he was a postal worker, and lots of his friends are, and he's organizing them together that they're going to take over the mail business, which, I'm sure that it'll be perfectly profitable. It didn't get shut down because there was no money in it. It'll work out great.
All about efficiency. Yeah. I'm sure you have the right people on board. Yes. And as I see, your group is all about execution. So who else could do this?
That's right.
What do they use for transport or mail? Do they use bikes or tuk-tuks or running?
I mean, at this point, probably I would think it would start with running and yeah, bikes where we can get them, and bigger and better as we grow.
Indeed, yeah. And come on, with bikes, you're already with the fastest, though also with the most dangerous mean of transport here. Yeah, because it goes steep up and down, so you can go really fast, but don't expect anybody not to come around the next corner. Yeah, there we go. As you can see in our character sheet, like we have a sheet called Our Setup. And last time we put like, thank you very much, by the way. I didn't recognize that you were already like typing information in there. And that helped a lot. To those who had been around last time, and part of you, some of you already answered in their character introduction. Some of that I gave establishing questions to you, which are based on the setting elements we picked. And Pedro, for example, you were thinking about how to prevent that your fields get flooded with all this rain.
Yeah, hopefully without having to do too much work. Yeah. Or maybe I can rope my sisters into it.
Your sisters will perfectly do the job, yeah. And you had like, there was a person called Ricardo Sosov.
Yeah, he's an elder.
He might be useful. Yeah,
he might be useful. He knows some ancient terracing stuff, you know, like these planting terraces that the Maya used to prevent soil from getting loose and sliding down the mountains. And he thinks that Ricardo might help him there. And then the only thing he has to do is to keep his sisters from posting everything on Instagram.
Yes, this is what we had, what happened last time. That we saw Pedro on Instagram with a towel on his face. Oh, yeah, annoying sisters. Yeah.
Yeah, he failed in dodging the wet towel.
And then we have Mina. What kind of maturity rituals do young people go through on the top of the volcano? Do you have something in mind?
I did last week. I vaguely remember. It's because it is Temok who's the current oldest teen that's in charge of that's been in charge of maturity rituals for the past few years. He has a couple of different ideas. It depends. It does depend on like which teen decides to try to do it, because there's kind of a bit of an age range, because some kids think they're more mature for their age or whatever. But it's all steeped in very gender biased ways. So like all the men have to do manly things, all the ones that are women who have to do subservient women things. Sometimes it gets sexual, and he just seems very like, and this is what she doesn't like when she witnesses it sometimes, is that he kind of starts grooming them kind of and such. So it's, yeah. And it's mainly why, like, when he decided to take over for the rituals, they're not all very sexualized, but they're like definitely very like, oh, well, you're a woman, so we don't want you, you know, crossing the ravine or whatever. Only guys can do that kind of thing. And so those are the types of rituals that have been happening for the past few years.
Indeed, which brings me to the point which I've unfortunately forgot at the beginning, which is subject matter and safety. For sure, we have the XCut available anytime, and feel free to use it wildly. So Sabine and I, for example, have a very good relationship on using the XCut informally. And so if she says she's not happy with the decision I made about like how a character was portrayed, I'm totally fine to adapt. And same goes for everybody here. On subject matter, we discussed that, just as Diana described before, there's so much sexism, machism going on in the society. There's racism, there's like colonialism everywhere, and people don't think good of them just because they're indigenous and think their life is less worth. So racism, just because we are just among us, just indigenous people at the moment in this setting and in this in this game doesn't mean that colonialism isn't present in whatever we are doing. However, most of these topics are somehow opt-in. If we can easily say we don't play with that, we ignore that part. Colonialism is hard to avoid, but sexism, for example, we can avoid. We have queer characters in this game. I find this very interesting to explore. But if you don't feel comfortable with going in that direction and like having negative forces acting, for example, against that, I think it would be good to say that in the chat anytime as well. All right. Sorry for that interruption. Should have come at the beginning, but it fits nicely also now. And now, Markus, you already told us about Vos Atitlan, right? And what you would like to see on Vos Atitlan.
Yeah.
But I also asked you who in the team might make it happen.
Sure. I think that there are a handful of people who are all like responsible for a whole bunch of things at the station, and so I have the name Alejandro Sojuel, who is both the program manager and the engineer at the station. When I had kind of like initially written in to say like, hey, it would be more to hear like, or it'd be great to hear like more like interviews with the people and more like not just like events programming, but kind of like reporting. I think that he was probably pretty open to it, but I just kept calling to get on the air, and like anytime I could get on and deliver like a lecture about this in Tz'utujil, I think that Marcus's name probably got like blacklisted at the radio station.
Ooh, poor Markus. Let's see if you still have a chance. Maybe you have a friend who can help you with getting in there, especially since Alejandro seems to be a Sojuel and Diego is a Sojuel as well. That might be an opportunity. Okay, now you can all pick an unforgettable. And as I said, they come in flavors, in different flavors. And if you look in the character keeper in line 22, you just have to choose from the drop-down menu one of them. As I said, whenever you need to make a roll, you can say, I want to make this unforgettable. And the flavor of this, what makes this unforgettable, comes from what you picked now. So if you picked Furious, and then you go like riding along, then you furiously ride along, no matter what the dice result is. And later in the game, you have opportunities to get more unforgettables. For example, by going into a tuk-tuk race. That's like a little incentive. Okay. Now we come to the act structure, and then we can take a little break because then we are nearly an hour in. So, and Brian and I are already an hour in then. The act structure, when you look at the tab in our character sheet, and now I have to tell you that on my keyboard, the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, the keys don't work anymore. But I would put in 1, 2, A3, and instead we put A, B, C, D in there. That made it easier for me. And we had a scene at the laundry bay, for laundry day already, because Brian, I need to explain this to you. So what we do is, in this game, is we plan a little bit ahead what kind of scenes we would like to have. And everybody can define a scene at the beginning of the act. And when the act is rolling, when we are in another scene, you can at any time go into this sheet and change what you plan for your scene in this act. When you roll moves, there are opportunities. There's one option in every basic move to have like additional scenes at the end of the act, which have then to follow a certain structure, like a monologue, or yeah, I'm not sure, like there are other opportunities like an overview scene, like a bird perspective scene of Santiago, what is going on. So then the stage is all for you. But we can now plan Act 1. The opening scenes we already have done, and the laundry day scene with everybody in the laundry bay We have seen that already. And Michael is not around, so I would also delete the walk and talk from Michael. Instead, we should see a scene from Brian, and maybe you want to have that scene at the end, then you can see how that goes. What we, following the plan, would have is that the next scene we would have is Marcus and Pedro watching a soccer game, Champions League, Real Madrid versus Barcelona, El Clásico, I guess. But it could be any other game. I don't want to impose what game you
I
have.
think we said that it was Barca against an Italian club, I think Milano or something like that.
Perfect, yeah.
If that's okay.
That's totally okay, yes.
But that's the extent of my football knowledge. So
you've already gone farther than me, so I think we're in good shape.
Cool.
Yeah. Like the two clubs which have like 90% of all followers here in town are Real Madrid and Barcelona, but there are in Milano fans, there are Juventus fans, Borussia Dortmund fans, and like nearly everybody, men and women, know about football and can tell you the latest results. That is, yeah.
I was so sure you were going to say, and everybody hates Bayern München, but okay.
That's a German thing, yes. No, here the thing is, it's not that negatively impacted, so you don't make so much fun of the others or would destroy their cars or whatever, like some German fanaticos might do. Yeah. Okay. So we would have the soccer match, and Barry and Brian, do you have something where you say, oh, I would like to see a scene? Your character should be in there, but nobody else has to be in there, no other player character. But for sure, it's also nice to have another player character in there. You don't have to define too much about it. As I said, you can still change it also. But like, for example, if you already have the idea that you would like to, like, if Marcus wants to convince Diego to help him to get on Radio Vos Atitlan, for example, that could be a potential scene. That's up to you.
Well, from the laundry day, I know that Mina knows that I'm working with a class right now, so I think that probably a scene with Mina makes sense. And like the way that I think about these things is like I try to find a move and then like kind of work backwards from that and figure out, oh, how could I get there? And so I don't know. I don't know if it'll end up being like a carve the way or maybe a get closer kind of scene with Mina, as like maybe she sits in on one of my classes. If that works for you, Diana.
Sorry, still getting used to this. Yeah, that works fine for me.
Okay, and then that there will obviously be like potential clients there, so like
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Brian, would you like to say what you would like to see, or would you keep it open for the moment?
I have thoughts, but they're all pretty vague, so maybe keep it open for now.
Yeah. Something with your gang might be a good starting point, for example. A meeting, a license you would like to get, or something like this. Just type it in, and having just me as an NPC in there is totally good. All right. Then let's take a 5-minute break, and 10 to the full hour, we see each other and go straight into the act. Cool.
I know I said it last week, but I'm still preemptively sad that I will not be here for a third session.
I won't either. So.
Oh, then we got to resolve everything that we can between Pedro and Marcus tonight.
Yes, we do.
Tonight. Yes. Yeah, which means, and I really want to see much of you. So let's see how that goes. So Diana and Brian are here next week, and Asher will join us. So it's a little bit of a rotation crew. Yeah. Okay. Can't wait for the soccer match as I'm wearing my jersey.
What is that? It's yellow, so it's yeah, PvtA. I thought so. I have a friend who's actually a fan of them.
And you're still friends?
I don't mind PvtA. You're not wearing Bayern München, so that's fine.
Yes.
I'm not a fanatic, so I kind of follow my city's club and my old city's club, and my old city's club is they're not good, and this city's club, they're also not good, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but they will make it, I'm sure.
Oh, who knows? I'm not too sure. They got kicked out of the league, the first league, the season before last. Then they climbed back up, and now it seems like they're climbing down again.
Yeah, 50-50, I would say. But with Freddy Bobic, nothing can go wrong.
Sure.
He played for Dortmund, so I'm still a fan of him. Sorry, that was soccer talk. And a soccer talk we will have. Pedro and Marcus, are you ready for watching the game?
Sure. I mean, I'm always ready for watching a game, and I wanted to say to check if I was cool with Marcus because of the whole thing with the laundry thing. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Marcus has any like any resentment, like because they know that Pedro is this way, like primarily because of he likes to feel like a big shot in front of his sisters and stuff, and so that's understandable. Like I wish he wasn't like that, but that's Pedro. So
yeah, but he wanted to see that you were we were so cool, man.
Are you offering Pedro, or I'm sorry, are you offering Marcus anything during the match to relax?
Sure. I mean, of course. You wanna smoke some?
I mean, it seems like something that has to happen, right?
Right.
It seems like. Is the location where you watch this? I'm asking you, Pedro. I guess you decided. Is that a cantina, which is like a dark pub where you can drink alcohol, which is like highly tabooized in society, but still there are many cantinas in town full of people? Or are you in a normal cafe where like 50 people stand around a small TV and watch the game together?
I don't think we need to drink alcohol because we can smoke stuff, and standing outside, it depends on the weather, I guess. I don't like to get all that wet if it's raining, but if it's not, then we can stand outside. It's fine.
At least the strong winds will push the pink clouds away.
Oh, nice. I will always have to clutch onto my head because it tends to fly away. Never managed to.
Marcus, are you actually excited about football? Are you interested in the match, or is it just the meeting?
I'm I'll watch a game, but I don't keep track of like all of the different leagues and like what teams qualify for like whatever given leagues or tournaments on a given year. I think that I'm super into playing the game, and so I get like really upset when I see people flop. But I don't. But I don't have like any specific team that I follow. It's just, you know, it's a nice time to be able to get together with people anyway, and like maybe I get to watch a really good game because of it.
Yeah, Pedro is kind of excited. Not like he's a fanatic or anything, but he likes to get in the mood of the game and the excitement and like, oh my God, now he's running towards the goal. Oh, is he going to me? No, what did you do with the ball? Like that.
I think that like Marcus is like most irritated like when there are these like huge full stadiums, just thinking like what was the environmental cost to get this like 100,000 people into this stadium to go and watch this game when it really could, you know, anyone could, you can go watch, you know, any group of people play soccer or play football. It could be, you know, could be school kids, could be like people at university or whatever. But like, I know that it's big and fun, and like it's easy to just like it's happening anyway, and so I might as well watch it. Which is a bummer. But I think Marcus is just like a real like killjoy about it.
Okay. Then we have a discussion about that, I guess, because Pedro is like, yeah, you're right, but I don't know, it's fun, you know? I just like seeing them. And I guess these guys in the stadium, they all like seeing that as well. And besides, they're in Europe, and Europe is tiny, and then they probably can walk towards the stadium, I guess. So it's not that bad.
Ignore me. I'm just some of those fanaticos around you who are actually into the game, right? So just ignore me if I shout something like "Whoa, whoa."
Amazing.
I will go and shout, "Oh my God!" No, I guess I'm not a
Penalty.
I'm not a hobby coach who is telling everybody they should have played this, but I get excited when things are really tense, and I like to say stupid things about the umpires, because these decisions, they are always wrong, always. Just they don't have eyes, these guys.
And I'm pointing out like over and over, like when the defense is just like is just playing lazy. Like I'm really disappointed in like some of the people who are like making like just an unfathomable kind of living at this game, not playing their hearts out.
Yes, yeah, they get paid really well, and then they're just standing around like watching the ball is my job. Oh my God. Oh, well, you know, that would, if I were only good at football, I could get out of here.
2-0. That game is gone.
Oh. Yeah, you got to keep hope up, you know? Things can get turned around.
A 2-0 lead is Marcus's favorite score differential.
Yeah, but you can get to turn that around. I'm totally sure. I've seen that happen. And I've seen that happen in the last 10 minutes when everybody was getting like, oh, we've got this in the bag. And then suddenly it's, oh, not quite. Then it's, oh, hell, no, what's happening? Oh, wow, we've lost.
The fair weather fans in the stands who have already started leaving the stadium start turning around and coming back down to their seats.
Yeah.
So how irritating does Marcus have to be to get you to pass that?
To what? To do what?
To pass the joint.
Oh, he doesn't have to get irritating. He just has to be there and breathe.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Because I consider Marcus my friend, and of course my friends don't have to pay me for joints. That's part of why I grow them, and it's part of why I'm never gonna get rich on them. Because I have lots of friends.
Pedro is my favorite drug dealer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh well. I hope my fields don't get swept away with these rains. That's not. Hope that's not going to happen.
What are you going to do about that?
I don't know. I hope maybe you're. You're Sosov, right? I have to look at the carriage keep. I'm sorry.
I am.
Yeah, your great uncle Ricardo. I heard he knows stuff about these terracing stuff our ancestors did. My grandma told me about it, that he used to have a lot of, he used to learn a lot from his grandfather, and then she tells me that I should ask him. Then she tells me that I should pray to Jesus and the saints and stuff like that.
I'm not a farmer, but it seems like it might be kind of late during the hurricane season to try and carrot your crop. But
you think?
But I can talk to him. I can. Do you want me to introduce you?
Oh wow, that would be nice, Marcus. I mean, you don't have to, but that would be nice.
I mean, I haven't caught up with him in kind of a long time. It'd be a good visit, and you could be my date or something.
I don't know if this is going to fly well with my sisters, but sure, why not?
By the way, the sisters, people around look in your direction, and that is for one reason, because of the jointer, because the game is boring at the moment, and skeptical looks. But then the whisper is already out that like even the mayor's wife is like smoking nowadays, right? And then also again, like hanging out with Marcus they are a weird person anyway. And the third is then there's social media. There's this picture on Facebook going around with Pedro at the bay, and then the two of you together smoking in this stairs over stairs all around you.
I try to ignore them. La 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 la.
I think I'll just like draw attention to it by taking a selfie of the two of us with like the television in the background, so they can so I can post just while hanging out watching the game with the just the hint of like a smoky haze around the edges of the photo.
I like that. Yeah, thank you, man. That's maybe I'm not too good with these social media stuff,
Well, I can put like a sticker over your face or something. Would that help?
No, No, I don't want a sticker on my face. You can put a sticker on my tuk-tuk if you want.
So I don't know, Gerrit. We've got like lots of like potential moves in play here. Is there something that we should be rolling?
Yeah, I'm curious, like where you're leading this. My feeling would be that one of you, like, and is like making a statement here that whatever you're doing, 3 things in a row, which are unnormal, is that Marcus is standing up here. But I could also feel like that Pedro is rocking and trying to rock with Marcus in that direction. And since it's the scene was proposed by Sabine, I would suggest that it's your decision.
Oh well, I've had my role before, so I would totally cede that to Marcus if he wants to take a stand.
Well, what's the easiest way here for Pedro to get influence over me? I would need to fail a roll on a like fit in or stand up. That would do that, and my difference would be obvious.
The thing is, you can in the end pick from the list and decide what fictionally happens. And one of the list options is always that the other person influence over you. Yeah, it's not necessarily that it means that more success means the other person can't get influence over you, because you can open up. It can still happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think that fit in or stand up might make sense then, because like I don't know if like Pedro seems comfortable with me, and I'm very comfortable in myself, and it's not me that's the problem; it's everyone else. So I think I'm good with that. Oh, I also don't have the role for your party here. There we go. Oh yes, the perfectly named, directly relaxed Quetzal. So perfect. Okay. So when I get to that, I'm going to roll 2d6 and add my. I'm going to add my fate to that.
You can also do that. And you add your fate, yeah, okay. Which is your will.
Yep. So this is +2 then. So that's a 12.
That's a perfect shot. That means you can pick 2 from the list, but you need to first describe how you differ from what is expected from you.
I think that I differ from what's expected from me, because like as I'm taking the as I'm going to take the selfie, Sabine and Pedro, if it's okay, Marcus will give you just like a little peck on the cheek, or like after I take the selfie, and I think that's a small one, but the bigger thing at play is that like as people's looks are like being drawn to me, like I'm feeling like there is like a lot of like I feel like there's scorn loaded into those gazes, and it just I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a person's place to accept that, but I don't. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't give that kind of look in public if you didn't want someone to feel it and take action because of it. And I totally don't. And so that's that is how I stand out and how I'm different.
All right. Then all of these 4 main basic moves, beside Carve the Way, have 4 options, and the options are always somehow the same. It's the same structure for all of them. The first is, if you don't pick that one, you need to check an emotion. So it somehow makes you less comfortable with yourself. Then the next one is to gain influence over that other person, which was in that scene. Then the third is that they gain influence over you. And the fourth is to create a final scene. It's always the same structure, which should make it easier and faster to make a decision what you want.
Okay.
So if you're curious about like a short final scene, in this one, for example, it would mean that you could have like a scene without any player characters where you just see how things further unroll. Like third eyes perspective.
Well, I think like based on how I narrated it, I think I definitely still feel myself. So I'm not going to check off an emotion. And I want to give Pedro the influence over me. Like Barry wants to give Sabine the influence mechanically, so we have that. So that's what I'm going to do.
Cool. Yeah, I think Pedro reacts like, I think he's a bit high when that happens, so he's pretty chilled out about it. He's like, oh, wow, that happened. That's nice. It's just, he just doesn't interpret it as romantic or sexual or anything, but just like friendship, you know?
Yep. Awesome.
Cool. And there we have something. Yeah, thank you for the scene. And Brian, because you wouldn't be in the next scene either, and I want to see Diego and play, would you mind? I changed the order from what was previously in there. Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah. Do you have an idea, like where you want to have this place?
I mean, it could just be with my gang. The only idea I have for the other characters is just if there's this group that is going to start making deliveries around the city. That could be very interesting to anyone trying to deliver drugs around the city, which could be my relative who's married to the mayor, or it could be Pedro. I don't know.
I'm totally into drug delivery. Yes, that's a good starting point. Not only the internet started with porn, but also delivery started with drugs. Yes, most obvious things. That means, yeah. What decision do you make? I would say the mayor's wife would be an interesting choice, and then the two of us just get a deal out of this.
Sure. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. So if I remember correctly, I need to check that our setup tab again. Her name is Juanita, and she's the biggest cannabis seller in town. And like the producers are on the other side, and there's like Pedro, for example, who is famous for his quality weed, and then there are the gringos, which are also always producing. And the safe thing about the gringos is the police ignores them. So while Pedro always has to struggle not to be caught and not to have any issues and pay corruption, with the gringos it's much easier. But then the gringos are often, they don't deliver in time and so on. It's back and forth. But the real issue, my dear friend, my dear nephew, Diego, the real problem which we currently have is delivering in time. And I can't afford that people go in and out of this second house my family owns on this nice area close to the bay. I need a better system. And I know you are capable of implementing something with your group. Wouldn't that be a perfect starting point for making a proper business here in town? Delivering for your aunt?
I think the proper start for a business to get the trust of everyone is if we could actually get everyone their mail that is piling up.
So interesting.
And I think
we don't have money for this. They haven't spent money for this for years. Do you think they will suddenly start like scratching up resources for mail? Do you really think so?
Well, not all at once. Maybe if the mail could be organized by neighborhood, then people could sort through and at least find their own, a division of the labor could make it possible. And with support from people like you who also have packages that need to make their way through the city, maybe the money could be there.
Yes, you're asking for my support, and I do offer you my support, but you need to set priorities, and mail delivery should not be your priority. But having your little cute bike boys and girls, they make a perfect delivery chain for me. Just forget about the mail aspect and we have a deal. If you want something else from me, the whiteboard is all yours. Go there and explain to me how you still want to make a profitable thing out of what you're explaining there, and then we could discuss this.
Well, I mean, okay. Is there a whiteboard, or is she like speaking?
There is a whiteboard, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I think. Does Diego get the sense she's genuinely interested in like the logistics of getting the mail delivered in a profitable way? Like, yeah. Okay. Then yeah. I think he has a plan to like, you know. I mean, the idea, you know, I'm sure there are wealthier people who, you know, are annoyed that they can't get their mail, and if like they can kind of pay a little bit more for, you know, than whole neighborhood, you know, if poor people, it can just be like, here's the mail for this city block or this neighborhood, and then the people themselves sort through it. It could be efficient enough, and you know, the prices could be something that those people could pay, and you know, yeah, he's got numbers and figures, and
sounds good. Yeah. My proposal would be that if you really want to get like her excited about this plan, get her buy-in, we could pick the dice and roll for riding along, which is therefore if you do something to create something, which is like a convincing business plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you get something done or create something, reveal what could frustrate you most if it goes wrong. So this is just my little indicator what I can do on a miss. What could frustrate you when you can't propose her?
Yeah, I mean, I think he knows as he's diagramming it out, like the people who are going to be able to pay more, like, are kind of supporting the mail for everybody, and like it definitely would be an easier business and probably more profitable if you just the people who aren't paying much, it's you just drop that part of the plan out and it works. The numbers are much better, but he's not interested in creating that business.
Okay.
So he's trying to like just deliver it as a whole package, and if she sees that, like, no, cut that part out, that would be the most frustrating for him. And now I roll.
Roll plus manos. Yep.
Okay. That's a 7 plus. So that's an 8.
An 8, which means you can pick one option. It goes smoothly. Somebody is impressed. Or you let somebody see you while you're doing it, and they get influence over you. And what you have done creates an opportunity. Create a final scene foreshadowing this opportunity for the next act. 4 options. 1 to pick only.
Create the final scene.
In the moves tab, you have the riding along bottom left.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand exactly. So, I guess somebody is impressed.
She is.
Okay.
Then you get influence over her, over Juanita Sojuel, the mayor's wife. And Diego, you're actually good at math. Okay, I think you convinced me. I think we can. I think it could make sense what you presented. And when I have special packages to be delivered, you know, to be careful that they don't get wet, right?
Yeah.
I come back to you. Yeah, I come back to you with a better plan. I currently have like a big issue with one of my producers. There's this guy Pedro Takashoy, you might know him. He's a total pain. I think I need to get rid of him. I think he loses all of his fields anyway soon. Yeah. But I tell you more about that later, okay? Were you friends when you were kids? I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And so there we go. And see another scene. And that is, from the act structure, is the classroom scene with Mina and Marcus. So since it's your classroom, Marcus, how does your classroom look like? And
well, last time we talked about having like a college group that is like stuck here from the like they can't get their buses in to get them out back to the United States on the buses can't get in because of the high winds and so these kids are like, they're probably like 4 or 5 days late in getting back to the States. And I think probably like half of them are still kind of paying attention now that they're like several days into the voluntourism that they're doing. And Mina, I was complaining about them to you at Laundry Day last week. Did I invite you or did you invite yourself?
I think Mina invited herself, but she believed it was you implying that like you wanted her there. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll come, no problem, kind of thing.
Awesome. And so I think that I need to incorporate you into the lesson plan somehow. So like it's different giving a language class to just like say something and then say what it is and like have people recite it. It's something totally different to actually go about having a conversation. And so let's I'm trying to think what's going to be the best way. I want to give these students something practical, like a simple like a simple exchange or a negotiation, of like, well, I can pay this much, or well, the price is this.
Well, would you have talked to Mina about like the lessons plan, or
no? I think that I sprung this on you when you showed up.
Okay.
And so I introduce you to the class. I say, oh, this is my friend Mina, and she's here to help me demonstrate what a Tz'utujil conversation sounds like. Oh, Mina, can you come up to the front of the classroom, please? Because I figured you probably like came in the back and were just kind of like hanging out.
Yeah, like even though Mina likes to be showy, like this is your classroom, that you're the teacher, like she doesn't want to show up someone else when it's their domain. So yeah, she definitely would have come in the back way.
Okay.
So she was a little surprised, but like she's used to attention, and she saunters into the front. And Mina decided to wear what would traditional textured clothing, like that's indigenous, but done in a very modern American, flashy, like showing, like not showing chest, but accentuating her curves and everything. And she did her hair up this time, like in the style that usually women would wear, like so that they could hold baskets on over their head, but she doesn't have a basket, but it's set up that way. And so she saunters to the front, and she gives Marcus like a nice smile, like hello, and hello class.
So we'll start into our conversation. Like I'll say what I'm going to say and then say it. like what I want to do something like laden with imagery, and like nothing is jumping immediately to mind.
All I could my go-to, once you guys get me in more RPs, my go-to is food.
Yes. Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, totally.
So like pan dulce, like and I could see like and all I could think of is the song My Milkshake.
Oh, perfect.
I mean, like, yeah, what did don't you want to? Now I'm trying to remember my words here. Don't you want to try a poquito de las conchitas? And she pulls out like, you know, these buns, and she in front of her chest, like being like very coquettish and everything.
Right. Oh, that's
and speaking in the language, of course. Right. And just like smiling, winking at every single, no matter what gender they are, like, and just to see if she could actually rival these students up a little bit, and to see how Marcus takes it too.
Right. No, Marcus is like totally into this. Like, it's fun to watch Mina in her element like this, and I don't often get to do it. Plus, like, I think that some of these students still have some cash, and you know, it would be okay with me if they spent some of that here. So yeah.
Their mouth open anyway when they say Mina. It's like
I didn't make a lesson plan before I came to the session today, Gerrit. I'm sorry. So I don't have anything. I know. So I don't have anything more specific, but like I love the imagery of like having Mina come in and like give this presentation. But I don't know, Diana, what do you think about the moves in this?
Yeah.
Let's see.
My feeling is like you're pretty close and interacting very closely to each other there on stage, and everybody's watching you carefully. And these people come from a different cultural background than you are. And my feeling is that you're exposing a moment of intimacy there. So I would even call this for a get closer of one of you.
Like, yeah, I think so. Like, if Marcus's idea was like, so like if Mina's selling, like she's being the pan dulce woman and everything and selling, like she wouldn't just be trying to sell to the students. She'd be like, because obviously both Marcus and Mina know the language intimately, we could have a bit better conversation. So even though she's being flirtatious with the students, she does it a little bit more, almost a little bit more sexual towards like when giving an example with Marcus. So and leading, like she keeps a little bit of a respectful distance with the students because they're students, but with Marcus there's no gap.
Right.
And everything.
No, that's awesome. And the great thing about these language classes is that like you can probably get away with saying just about anything that you want, because they don't speak it. So we can load it up with this imagery for the actual lesson. But I love the idea of like also using the language kind of like flirtatiously in that way as well. And I'm sure that that's something that Mina does, which is awesome.
Totally. And I think maybe like one of the students who catches the language is because there's usually one or two students who understands languages a little quicker, or maybe they're here to actually learn, you know. So maybe she catches like maybe that there's one student who might get every third word and was like and being like flipping through their dictionary like wait a minute. So she wants to see if we could get caught by the student while everyone else is like completely oblivious.
Oh, I love it.
And so yeah, so she's definitely being extremely flirtatious, but and everything with Marcus, like while saying something mundane in English to the students.
Right. These buns cost this many dollars.
Yeah.
I would ask you, who of the two of you let their guard down more, and that is the person who should roll. Like, who is more vulnerable when doing this?
I'm okay with that being me. because like I invited you in, and I think that you I love it if you're the one that like escalated it a little bit and
Yes.
like wrong-footed me and like made me like try and keep up. Which I think that that's fun, unless you specifically are interested in like in making a roll for that.
I don't think yet with the characters Mina has realized, like she hasn't realized any of her own personal feelings yet. So to her, it's still just a fun game with friends.
Okay, awesome.
So yeah.
Okay.
She doesn't realize her influence on everybody else yet.
Sure. Okay. So this then would be with a Corazon, which no, this is going to be bad. So I'm going to roll these.
Oh.
We both have -1.
Yeah, that is a 5 then.
Awesome. Miss. Oh no, on a miss. I still pick one for you from this 4 points, but I will also make you regret having gotten closer.
Oh no!
I hate it. I'm so angry about this now.
And by the way, if you haven't picked the first option, I forgot that, Brian, when you made the roll, you need to check off an emotion.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I missed. You know what, Gerrit? I meant to think about the unforgettable before I got into a roll. I don't know what the unforgettable does. Should we? What? I don't know what that. I don't know exactly what that means for this though.
So you're being honest with your feelings, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you pick honest as your?
That is the unforgettable that I picked. Yes.
Yeah.
So
honest is your. You can describe your failure. It's not me because you made this unforgettable and make this. It is a failure. And it was too honest for this world, and you will keep it in your mind even when you're 20 years older.
Right. Okay. So, like, if I make this unforgettable, then I pick the thing, but and describe it. Is that it? Or do you still pick the thing? Okay. Do you also still make me regret having gotten closer?
Yeah, I have something in mind.
Okay,
I can put that at the very end. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Let's see. Well, I want to give Mina influence over me. Like, because like I'm clearly like desperately trying to keep up with her in this like linguistic one-upsmanship, and like I'm really wrapped up in that. I'm playing at feelings, but then also like experiencing them, and I think that she sees Marcus like blush or like meet or break her gaze at like inopportune times, and so I think that the feeling that Marcus has for Mina is like, it may not have been obvious to Marcus before this, but it may not have been obvious to Marcus, but it's clearly obvious to Mina now.
Okay.
Does that kind of work, or am I not pushing that hard enough?
It's hard. It's hard enough. Yes.
Okay.
Because I think it will be hard for Marcus. It will especially be hard for Marcus because we hear a sudden clapping at the door, and there is Alejandro Sohuel from Radio Voz Atitlan with a recording of your conversation.
Oh shit.
And you want to have real talk on our radio. Good that I came by to talk about language lessons with you. I thought it would have been a good idea to come back to your idea and bring it to our program director. I wonder what he thinks about this.
Oh,
he turns around and leaves.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
I think with Mina, like, since she realizes that she has it, like she realizes, oh crap, I've done it again, kind of thing, where I made someone like me too much. And she doesn't think farther than that, whatever her feelings are for it. But then that happens. And I think we're close enough that she would know that like Marcus has been wanting to be on the radio and all, like, you know, all that and everything. Trying to think. She gets pissed. She gets pissed as soon as like Alejandro like says this and everything, because like no matter what, Marcus is her friend, and I'm still trying to understand doing the moves.
Stand up sounds like.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, she's gonna furiously stand up, and be like.
Furiously. Yes.
Because that's what I had chosen for her Unforgettable.
Yeah. And you act against Alejandro so well.
Yes. Like how dare, like, because she knows some rights, like, because you have to when you're doing like, you know, sex work and everything. It's like, how dare you record us without any knowledge? This is the only way you should be here is if you paid for this class, and you clearly hadn't paid for this class. And she's going off both in Spanish and in the indigenous language, which I cannot pronounce for the life of me right now. So that partly that the American students can, if they know a little Spanish at least, understand that. And she goes up into his face and like is like pointing her finger at him, like completely pissed. Because she knows how important this is for Marcus, and she'd never want to embarrass Marcus. So, yeah.
You never learned how to behave. Oh, what a woman.
And I roll 2d6, right?
2d6 plus faith.
Plus faith, okay. 5 plus faith. So that's 7. And does Furious add anything, or is just an element?
You rolled a 7 in total?
With faith, yeah, because I have 2 in faith.
And you put it on Furious. That means take over the fiction, make it count, make it something unforgettable for you to remember in 20 years from now, your character, and something which stays with you for the rest of your life. And and pick one of the options, just as normal. The move resolution is all the same. It's just that.
Okay, so
you make it unforgettable.
At least I barely make it. I didn't fail, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So pick one. Let's see. I feel like, I guess depending on how Alejandro responds, maybe you understand better how this town works.
Cool. Yeah. Then we have a little final scene.
Yeah.
For this act. That sounds great. Yeah. Alejandro is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is... Marcus, make her stop. What's going on?
Does Marcus pull her away? Because she's like really up in his face right now.
Oh no. Marcus is like arms crossed and like almost like kind of sheepishly grinning about this because this is fantastic. I might not my thoughts of Radio Vaz Atitlan might never come true, but like in this moment that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Whoa. So yeah, up to you. What is Mina getting? Getting the tape, getting into his face.
Yeah, I think she would swipe the tape from him.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa. That's unacceptable. And then he's already out of the door. You can't hear him anymore.
And she puts her hands up like, "You're gonna do something about it? I have the tape right here. You want to try to get it from me?" And she looks, and then she says in near perfect English towards the students, an unarmed woman, defenseless woman, are you going to try to get this from me?
And the class is cheering. Woo! I think you make like 20 friends. Cool.
What do you do with the tape afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
That's for
what else is on there? Yeah.
I mean, this seems like. I'm sorry, I lost you there for a second, but I was gonna offer an idea.
Okay.
I would love if Mina kept that tape, because then Marcus can never ever revisit it except in their mind, which is worse.
Yeah, no, she's trying to keep it. Like, she wasn't thinking it didn't occur to her at that moment to give it to Marcus. Like,
Yeah,
it's like hers, because she's the one that's going to be able to protect it for right now.
right.
So she literally puts it between her boobs, like like try to come and get it. Like,
She's the best.
Okay, that is the end of our act, and we plan new acts and with characters in there and what is going on, and we discuss also what we would like to see there. However, we have a final scene, and the final scene is for Diana, and you can just give us a little vignette, like a small scene, like a small moment, like it could be just one camera angle, which shows us what an issue in Santiago really means for everybody, like something where society is like, where you can see the open wound or whatever. It can have something to do with respect towards women, what we just saw, or the role this volunteerism played, or your intimacy, queer people in town, whatever you want.
okay, so excuse me, just double checking what we had chosen. So yeah, I think this is probably like the next day after that, the whole encounter, and she's on the volcano top, and she's waiting for, I already forgot Michael's character's name, who I forgot, Amaya. She's waiting for Amaya to show up because they were planning to, like, you know, they do this every so often, and she's listening to the radio on, like, and it's obviously Alejandro, like, making a big spiel, not directly talking about Marcus or me, but talking about the endemic of the prostitution, the illegal prostitution that's going on with the tourists, and how we can't let our beautiful town be sullied when we have, like, new business coming in. We have the Americans coming in. We need to take care of this to show that we're worth their time, and going, like, you know, going for that whole, like we have to be a better, we're not like other Guatemalan cities and towns kind of thing. And it pisses her off. But she has no one, because of course Amaya doesn't, for whatever reason, Amaya doesn't show up.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. End of Act 1. And the end of an act means that we take usually a quick break, and that's perfect timing now. And we trigger, we look at decorating tuk-tuks. And if you want to add something to your tuk-tuk from what has happened in play, and you can write down, like, when you use an unforgettable, you can write a little note down that you don't forget that, because your character might not forget it for the rest of your life, but you as a player might have an easier time forgetting it. And that's like the idea, to create like little artifacts in the game, and especially like something which happens, which is an unforgettable, makes a perfect new tuk-tuk decoration, something you can put on your tuk-tuk. That is all much easier when you just have the paper drawing in front of you than just online. But just mentioning this because this is a playtest. And yeah, while the break is going, you could already enter like scenes for the next act. What you have in mind for what could happen. And I, for example, I'm pretty sure like an opening scene, which I like a scene which could happen in the act. We see two antagonists. We have the mayor's wife, and I'm pretty sure that she wants to put pressure on Ricardo, the Therese specialist, to give bad advice on purpose to Pedro, so that Pedro's fields get flooded. That is something I could imagine what could happen in the background. Yeah, but let's take a 5 minutes break and enter ideas for scenes and who you would like to have in there. 2 or 3 player characters should be in a scene, but it can also be a 1 player character in NPC. That's a short idea. 5 minutes means 10 to the full hour again. All fine? Scene planning has started.
Hello, everyone.
No. The final joint, yeah, that sounds like a good fast forward.
Yeah, because I won't be there next time, so I think I want to have some kind of send off. I don't know who I would want it with though, because me and Marcus, we could resolve our influence, but I also want to have a scene with Mina and everyone, and I haven't yet had a scene with Brian's character. So maybe I'll just... I think I'd like to have it with Mina, actually, because so I have this crush on her.
I was thinking maybe it starts with just like Pedro and Mina, and then maybe it ends. Your scene ends with everyone else showing up.
Yeah, yes, I like that. That's a good idea. I like that. Cool. Let's do that.
Yeah, and yeah, since I'm especially interested in like seeing like also like the resolve of influence, and therefore let's do some extra dice rolling. So if everybody comes and everybody is like rocking on the fields, for example, then we have a lot of dice and play and influence and so on and so forth. That could be very nice.
Sabine, do you have an idea for a scene that Pedro and Marcus could resolve with? Would it be like going to see Great Uncle Ricardo?
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Cool. Let's do that, and then we can resolve our influence, and then we can smoke with Mina.
Perfect.
And Marcus, of course, because we've resolved our influence doesn't mean we're no longer friends, right?
No, quite the opposite. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, cool. And Brian, do you have an idea? Brian isn't back yet. Yeah.
Yes, Brian is not a cat, alas.
Still delivering wheat packages for the mayor's wife, yes. Cool. A suggestion would be to have the flooded fields at the very end as the last scene. Does that make sense? Or as a culmination?
Sure, why not? Yeah, I don't think it would make any sense for me to go to Ricardo and after the fields have flooded. So, yeah.
True, very true, yes. So that would possibly be a good... Oh, then it's scene 5, actually.
Sabine, I'm going to look and see if I can find some green lips that I can put as a sticker on your tuk-tuk, if that works for you.
Oh, yeah, I love that. I should put some sticker on your tuk-tuk, too. I think I have an idea. I would like to have a goal, like a football goal, like a ball flying into the goal, like that.
Nice.
Awesome.
I love that you found a bread basket.
Thank you. I know, and they're spilling out of it like so many feelings. The worst.
Oh, cool. And Diego has a tuk-tuk now as well. I only see now. Yeah. Delivery guy. Isn't back yet. Doesn't look like. Lips on fire. I'm sitting on a chair where one of the legs is collapsing every time I move into one into that corner. So if you see me disappearing suddenly and screaming, maybe, and I hope I haven't like ripped open my back part.
Oh no, I've actually had that happen with a player. I was just running some Dresden files, and I was looking down, and I was looking up, and the player was gone, and there was this rumbling noise because the chair had collapsed, and she wasn't hurt or anything.
Oh no. Okay.
Where is my? Oh no, I'm in the wrong. I'm looking for a GIF thing.
And for sure, I would also like to see a tuk-tuk race. So if we can make it in time for a little tuk-tuk race, that would take something like 20 minutes, the race. It can go pretty fast. But a tuk-tuk race, as I can say, it can happen for all kind of things. It is always nice to find a good excuse to be part of the tuk-tuk race and be free to find a good, even if it's a bad excuse, just enter the race. When you enter the race, you get another unforgettable. That's already a reward, and you are part of the fun. However, if you don't join, then it goes even faster because it scales with the number of participants in the race. And therefore, you don't have to worry too much. If it's just 2 people racing, it's 10 minutes or so. It's just a scene. And a tuk-tuk race, for example, here could be if you are really thinking that our antagonist, the mayor's wife, should like get her ass whipped, for example. That is a good reason to have a tuk-tuk race. And then we find a good excuse and a good scenario why we are in the tuk-tuk and hunting her, for example. And yeah, tuk-tuk races
It's gonna be so
can
good.
happen at the end of the act or any time in the act when we are just like clapping with our hands and saying, this is definitely time for a tuk-tuk race. Yeah, just saying.
This is gonna be so awesome because if the mayor's wife is given Great Uncle Ricardo like marching instructions, oh man, then we've all got motivations into that. Oh, it's gonna be so great. Oh my god. So excited.
Let's do that. I love it.
Brian it's late. Has he misunderstood the length of the break?
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, there's not much we can do in that case. If it was face to face, I would scream through the flat now.
Could try pinging him on Slack.
Area. Yeah.
If he has notifications.
There
we go.
Yeah, there we go.
He's back.
Brian, do you have an idea for a scene? If not yet, we already have a starting scene with you in, and maybe that is already a scene you might be interested in because somebody wants to talk with you about unions.
That sounds good.
That sounds good, yes. Okay. So I would say we could start the act directly, and part 0 is up for me, and I give you just vignettes, nice little vignettes, what is happening in the background. And this is more or less like the idea is to get all the different elements from the previous scenes together and like tightening them a little bit. And there we go. And the first is that Ricardo has a visit by one of the ladrones, one of the little gangsters working for the mayor's wife, and Juanita has sent him to Ricardo and his poor family, and poor Ricardo gets under pressure. Ricardo, I don't see a future for your business if you don't tell Pedro something which will ruin his fields. Don't destroy him, just give him a little lesson about who has control over prices here in town and who can demand whatever they want. You know what I mean, Ricardo? And when I'm talking about that your business could not go any further, Look outside. Do you see your truck? I think your tires are all flat. Isn't that a bad accident? Something like that could happen again. And imagine it happens when you bring your kids to school in the neighbor town. I know you like this neighbor town. Santiago schools are better, I tell you. And then we have Alejandro. And Alejandro is meeting with, his name is Tamok, I think. Or Temok. Temok is the guy who is organizing the rituals on top of the volcano. Was it a man or a woman? I'm not sure. And yeah, Temok, my daughter, Alejandro says, my daughter, I'm afraid she ends up like these women who are surrounding Mina the whole time. And I looked on her phone, on my daughter's phone, Marta, and she has like pictures of Japanese boys on there, and I'm totally disgusted what she's doing there. They're half naked. I think she needs a good old-fashioned purity ritual on top of the volcano. Tonight, she will come back from flute lesson from the church. On her way back, I will wait for you, and together, again, if necessary against her will, we will bring her up on the volcano and purify her from such thoughts. That's Alejandro's plan with his daughter Marta. These were my opening scenes, and now it's Diana. It's your stage for your scene with Mina and Diego in there.
Okay, so my idea is, well, question for Diego. Does Diego try to like, does he have like postal worker like union meetings or anything? Or like, especially after his conversation that he had with the mayor's wife and everything?
Yeah, definitely. There's regular meetings. I mean, I think they're probably already kind of working, but it's pretty small scale at this point. But
okay, so I'm thinking like maybe she kind of sits in on one of like the last like meeting that like Diego has with maybe like a couple of the people like finalizing something so that she could talk to him. And I don't know, like I'm trying to think like how we've known each other in the past before.
We've all been friends as kids, and the town is relatively small, but maybe you have a better reason?
If you have any idea that like other than, yeah, obviously we've known each other for like ever kind of thing.
no particular.
Excuse me. But I think maybe it's been like a while since we've like maybe chatted, like not as strange or anything, but it's been like maybe a few weeks or a month or so, because like she's busy with her things and everything, and obviously Diego's been busy with like getting the workers together and such. So like that. So yeah, so she would have dressed a little bit, just teensy bit more moderately. Like it's still pretty like, you know, flashy and everything, but like because it's like the rains are getting worse and she does care about her health. She does have like a big like bright purple overcoat on that she did import like from the Americas and everything. And it is sitting in the back of like at the end of like one of you guys' meetings or something. Does that sound good?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, so what would Diego do after like noticing her like slinking in the back?
Like after the meeting's over?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd go over. Nina, didn't know you were interested in becoming a postal worker.
Not necessarily a postal worker, although I do like to deliver goods. And she gives like a little smile to Diego. But I hear you've been trying to do some union type stuff, and I don't know how often you listen to the radio. And she kind of, it is the first time like that she kind of flounders a little bit, like not looking as confident because this is something that she's not good in. And I think I need to get something similar set up for people who work like I do. And I was thinking of like maybe picking your brain about that.
I think I understand. I imagine you all need to look out for each other quite a bit.
Yes, I mean, things haven't been too bad lately, but there's been grumblings, and I want to make sure I can defend myself, but the others I worry about sometimes. And with the certain people's influences, and I hear you've been talking to the mayor's wife recently, and it seems like your little union meeting went pretty well, right?
That's true. I don't know that you can expect much help from the mayor with what you're working on.
True, but we do help bring in money. I mean, the tourists, we have no lack of. We're pretty busy, and it's not just with the locals. I mean, if we bring in more people, they'll spend money around town.
Mm-hmm. What is it you would need from them?
I'm not too sure, actually. I just feel like, I mean, I've heard one of your coworkers is, I have business with sometimes. And she's very careful to not indicate which coworker, because she's very good about, like, secrecy and everything. And so they told me that, that maybe the unions would be a good thing. It makes people think twice about messing with people. And I don't trust the cartels. I don't trust the gangs.
I think are you known among your coworkers as someone they all trust?
I like to think so. I mean, they do come with me with complaints every so often.
Yeah, complaints. Those are the first things that come. That's true. But that's good. That's a good sign. I think before you want to go to Juanita, you need a plan. She respects being organized. And you need. It's hard for me to say, but regular meetings, some kind of organization, you need to form. You need to be able to speak as one.
Mm-hmm. But what I worry is other people. I mean, I haven't interacted with Juanita very much. Pedro was always talking about her, but I tend to steer away from the higher ups, as you know. I'm worried my voice, even if everyone looks to me, won't be regarded. I think I need someone to represent us, who won't just look down at us as what we do.
Yeah, I could see that. A spokesperson, that makes sense. Do you have a candidate you're thinking of?
That's why I came to you. I don't know, maybe. I mean, I know you're hard at work with your male people, but I know it's been hard getting money because the mail service has been, down and everything. I do have some money if you were willing to be a spokesperson for 2 unions. I mean, I'll help you everything,
No,
it's just that I don't, how society is with women and what they consider loose.
I can be a friend. I can help you find someone. I don't know that I'm that person. Are there business associates who maybe have a more...
Unfortunately, none that I can think of that'd be willing to reveal themselves as profiting from us or with us.
Do you think that Mina is getting something done here in terms of riding along, like convincing Diego in that way?
That's kind of what I was thinking of, like riding along to either convince him to either be the spokesperson or to help us find someone.
Yeah. And depending on how it goes, then afterwards we could see also Diego showing what his idea is, how this should be done. That sounds good to me.
All right, so I'll roll for mono, which is 0. So let's hope this roll works. Let's see. 9.
Then could frustrate you most if it goes wrong. I should have asked you before you roll, but I think it still makes sense to learn that.
Yeah, we'll worry that if it goes wrong, that will have to be even more secretive, or there'd be negative impact to the other workers.
And then you need to pick an option. It goes smoothly, otherwise check off an emotion. Somebody is impressed, or you let somebody see how you are doing this, so they get influence over you. Or a foreshadowing.
I'd be willing to have Diego have influence over me. I think that's kind of because she's completely in the floundering here and being more serious about everything.
Sounds like, yes.
So is that with you, Diego? Having influence over Mina?
Sure.
So Diego, how do you react? Do you want to have a follow-up scene, because you haven't defined your scene yet?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
I'd be happy to do that if you can think of what it is. I don't think Diego wants to be the spokesperson.
Fair.
He's got too many people other people he's already responsible to. but yeah, happy to try to find that person.
Find somebody and motivate them and getting things done in town. Yeah, there isn't so much. There aren't so many options for that. I would say leaders like you are rare. I would say,
Yeah,
pretty rare. Yes. I would mean, it seems that Mina is actually pretty good at representing herself. So maybe you could throw it back.
Maybe like, because Mina's technically unsure of herself, Diego kind of coaches her without her realizing that she's being coached.
Right. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, until we get the leader, do this step to just get things started. Okay, now I'll get everyone to do this. Now get everyone to do that. And then before you know it, like, oh yeah, you're already leading everyone.
Yeah. And then that also indicates influence over Mina too.
Yeah.
She's willing to listen. Like, you're doing it. Apparently, you're doing really good at this. She's willing to, like, do whatever.
Yeah. I could imagine that going on top of the volcano is a good opportunity to life coaching. If Diego could imagine going up, yes, that could be an opportunity. And you could accidentally also run into certain other people on their way up. Does that sound good for you, Diego?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So how does it look like when you walk up there, Diego? What do you make on a real hike, 5 hours, 6 hours hike?
So who is
lava rocks?
Who's up there? Who am I going to meet up with someone, or?
I could imagine that you ask somebody to join you, that you meet Mina on the top.
So I think it's and then we run into the purity ritual. Is that what the plan is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could also like ask Pedro to come up with you, or Marcus.
Just possible ideas for your scene.
Or you woke up with Mina.
Well, I guess it would be with Mina if we're discussing, strategies.
Okay. Yeah, then let's keep it relatively short. And I would say I wanted to know how it looks like, how you walk up there.
What it looks like. Kind
of climbing person.
I don't know. I think if I'm not carrying a bunch of mail, it's probably pretty easy for Diego. This is used to having a big mail bag over his shoulder the whole time, so this is easy going.
Easy going. Okay, so to make a campfire on top of the volcano. Yeah.
Yeah, like Mina tends to have, like, when she goes up to the top of the volcano, she tends to actually have like a walking stick. But it's like it was from like her great grandfather, so it's like a very like it has a couple of like fabrics like woven around and it's like like this like old wood type of thing. Because even though she makes the walk pretty regularly, she knows herself. Like she could like easily trip and everything. So yeah, so she has the walking stick too. Like and it's about as tall as her basically. That she uses to trudge up to the volcano top. And this like, I think it's one of the few times with Diego that she's kind of nervous because she's used to flirting with people all the time constantly, and in this case is like she doesn't want to flirt because she doesn't want to distract him from learning. And so she's pretty much rambling on about like possible ideas for like a union for her and the others, and like asking questions like, well, what about when people are trying to strong arm you or something, kind of thing.
Yeah. Does it mean that you're actually getting closer to each other on that way up?
I'm not sure. I mean, what would be like how would Diego feel?
Maybe Diego is getting closer.
I think so, because I think I don't think it's riding along, because Diego's not. The most important thing isn't the strategy you're going to take to try to do this yet. The question is really, are you really the right person? And so Diego's trying to really get to know you, because he doesn't want to set you up as the leader of these people if you're not, if you're going to fail them or get them, into a bunch of trouble. So he really, yeah, he's really trying to probe a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and revealing possibly more about yourself, because you need to answer then how you make yourself vulnerable, and how do you let your guard down in this conversation? Is it because you're talking about your own ideas about leadership?
Yeah, I think he's talking. He gives a lot about his own path and what's going on with his workers. So yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So that would be for Diego to know?
Pardon?
That would mean Diego roles, or?
I would say so, yeah.
That's 12.
You can pick 2. You have
2.
You have hit it all. So you don't feel hurt through all this exposure. You learn about something about them. They will tell you what, or you opened up you opened yourself up. Say about which topic, and they get influence over you. Or do you want to have an inner monologue at the end of our story?
So okay. I'm trying to understand how, if you gain influence over someone that already have it, then you can use it as an opportunity to act on influence. Now, how does that work?
And act on influence is simply you can force somebody to do something. More or less, you can ask them to do a profound action, or ask a question about their true self. And if they fulfill that to your satisfaction, they gain influence over you back.
Okay.
I'm just turning that around.
Yeah. So I think that's a little more interesting than just saying you gain influence over Diego. So ask them a question about their true self. Yeah, so I guess Diego succeeds in his attempt to really he already had influence over you, and he's pushing it further and really questioning you. Yeah, so I imagine the talk is he's talking about his situation, and you're describing the different people and there's a little bit of strategy, but at some point, the conversation, he just kind of stops and gets serious, and if
So what would be like the question?
Yeah, just really, yeah. So what is the question is, you know, why are you doing this for these people? Is it, you know, for your own benefit? Is it
The
pure,
union part or the work, or both?
the organizing of yeah, the union?
So it takes me now like a minute like to think about it, because she had a like an answer off like you know, when you've done sales and everything, you always have like the same like scripted like sentence you would say to people. And she was about to do that, and but like because like we've had some serious conversations going up the volcano, and for her going up the volcano is kind of like a ritual thing, and that usually always like her guards are usually a little bit down, subconsciously down, and she's like, because I feel bad. None of the other workers, they just want to do the work, get paid because that's the best that they can do with themselves. And for others, they don't have any other choices because they're not allowed to do any other kind of work. And you know me, I like to be loud and rebel against everything and question everything, and it works for me. But I think I might have pissed off a couple of influential people, and I don't want them to take what I did to them on to those others. And this is the only thing I could think of that might protect them. I mean, I can't stop them from continuing this work, even if I decide to change myself, which I'm not going to do. But yeah, I want them not to be punished for my mistakes. And I feel like I'll be continuing to make mistakes. So, I mean, that's why we need to find someone that's good for this role. If it can't be you, of course. I mean, you're busy. And I don't think Mina realizes, like, what she's saying to him.
Mm-hmm. Do you give her influence over you for this? Does that impress you?
Yeah, I think so. That's yeah, the kind of answer he was hoping to hear.
Okay, that means you have mutual influence over each other, and that would mean you could resolve it. However, you now see that there's like a little delegation with torchlights also going up to the volcano, and whatever they have in mind must be strange, because there's a young girl between them which is screaming and is angry and is shouting. But we should cut away here and and see there's this little hut a little bit out of town of Ricardo, and Ricardo seems to have visitors or visitors coming soon. How does it look like?
I have an idea. I think that Marcus usually dresses like in a really like understated way, like just very like short button-up shirts and whatnot. And I've been like doing some looking at like indigenous Guatemalan men's fashion, and the colors in this I love. So so I think in visiting Great Uncle Ricardo, like I think I have to get myself ready. And so I've got these bright red pants with white stripes running down them, and my like the shirt that I wear has this like elaborate purple collar, and it makes me wonder what Pedro's going to wear to go meet Great Uncle Ricardo, who also used to be a smuggler.
Well, I think what Pedro is going to wear is what he's usually wearing, which is kind of some black pants. And he has, for the occasion, dressed in a traditional jacket with the totally subtle symbols of leaves on them, and maybe a symbol of, let's see, what would the symbol be? I think it's actually a rather old symbolic representation of the mountain and the things that grow on it. So
Nice.
it's like a farmer's symbol. So he and Ricardo knows about farming, and that's cool. Also, he's of course wearing a very modern and not at all traditional hat because he likes hats. And he has his sunglasses with him, but he will put them off because it's raining a bit and the air is full of spray and mist and things, and you can't see very well if you're wearing glasses.
Awesome. Do we take? I don't know if Tuk has room for a rider. I don't know if the two of us ride there together.
They do. They are used as taxis and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
so,
Perfect.
yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Do you take yours or mine?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll ride up in the Naga.
Cool.
Then. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. So, what do you want to get out of the discussion with Uncle Ricardo?
Well,
sorry. Go ahead, Sabine.
Go ahead. Yeah, I want to get out of the discussion is some advice, really, on what to do with my fields and how to shore them up so they won't get swept away by the rains. That's what I want.
Yeah. And as a meta question, do you want to look through him and see that he is lying to you for some reason, or do you want the full tragedy? And,
I would love it for Marcus to look through him.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think Pedro is a bit oblivious in that direction, but I think Marcus is better at knowing people.
Come in, come in. Uncle Ricardo says, "Oh, it's cold outside, isn't it? Oh, the winds. So many people have a cough at the moment." So we come here for advice.
Yeah, Uncle Ricardo. This is my friend Pedro.
Yeah.
Hi. I've brought a gift, I guess. It's some tea.
Oh, thank you very much. Such good leaves.
Yes, they're very nice. You can also smoke them if you want to.
What? Oh.
But you don't have. You can just drink them in the tea.
Maybe not while you have such a bad cough, great uncle.
Yeah, thank you. I will brew something. My wife will do that. I mean, sorry. Will brew some for us while we talk. So yeah, about the terracing. Terracing is a very old ancient technique, and it has been like centuries we have built this way and only recently given up, and like now we have these issues with slides and stuff, and the rain is much more affecting the reason, but I heard this also has something to do with climate change. So maybe there's nothing you can do, and in the end, it needs to be. And he starts mumbling and talking, and it's like he really seems to be insecure in what he is saying. Maybe he's also surprised because of such amount of rain. Like maybe that is something which is problematic for him too. Maybe he's overwhelmed, and even his techniques don't work, or is something else behind this?
Well, I think I want to ask Great Uncle Ricardo, because he says, it sounds like there's nothing that you can do about it. But like Great Uncle Ricardo, like one of the joys of Marcus's youth was like hearing the stories about how Great Uncle Ricardo and some of my other two generation separated family members would put one over on the Tz'utujils or even, I'm sorry, Pedro, I don't have your character name in front of me. Even the Takashois from time to time, because they were known for feuding with people, and I know that the Sosos have gotten out of a sticky jam from time. Like I've never heard anyone from his generation say oh, yeah, maybe there's nothing that can be done about it. And And so I want to call him on that. I want to say, well, that's not like the stories that you used to tell. That's, that you didn't just tell us that because we were kids and listening. That had to be true, right?
I mean, I've heard some amazing stories about you in your youth.
Yeah. And honestly, I have the feeling we don't need to roll for this, Marcus. But I think what we are more interested in is how this could possibly lead to resolve influence between the two of you.
Mhm.
And so, like, Uncle Ricardo is like, well, this is like, I need to. Yes. Okay. I need somebody very important was here and has threatened me.
Oh, and we probably saw the truck with the wheels with the tires slashed out in the front when we got here, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but there's nothing I can do. And then he grabs you, Pedro, and says, your field will be flooded anyway. If this continues for another 3 or 4 days, there's nothing, not any technique in the world could do.
Yeah, but if it
So
doesn't,
whatever advice I give you, it will be flooded anyway. So you could just pretend you listen to my advice, and then nothing will at least be harmed from my side.
oh
I will
wow!
help you to build it up again.
So I lose my livelihood, and hey, at least you're not harmed. Great. I mean, I've got 3 younger sisters.
Marcus, you can tell him that I'm all. I will do everything. Marcus, right?
Well, Pedro, it sounds like Great Uncle Ricardo's having some real problems of his own. I don't think that he doesn't want anything bad to happen to your farm. He wants.
Yeah, he wants it to be flooded down into the sea, the lake.
He's scared too. He's scared too, Pedro. I mean,
Yeah.
you obviously know what it's like.
Yeah, I heard he was a man. I heard he was a man. That's what I heard. Apparently, he's just an old woman hiding in his hut. So, well, great. Thanks.
I'm getting so angry at Pedro right now. Oh, how are we going to resolve our influence if I'm so angry at Pedro?
The thing is, resolve influence doesn't need to mean that you are in good circumstances afterwards. It can also mean, I know that I don't need to care about your opinion always.
No, I hate it. I can't. No, I don't want that to be what happens here.
You mean you can resolve influence with somebody by beating them up?
Oh yeah, great.
Oh,
I don't want to beat Marcus up.
Yeah, no, a pass on that. Oh,
I'm storming out anyway and standing out there and like looking at the rain and looking at my farm, and I go, oh my God.
Marcus, convince him to do what I was told to tell him. Otherwise, our family will collapse.
Who's scaring you like this, Great Uncle?
I will tell you.
Who would make you talk like this? This isn't the way that you talked to us when we were young.
It's Juanita, I tell you. Not people you can make jokes with. They are ready to kill. I need to leave you alone now. Thank you very much again for visiting me. Thank you for the tea, and I hope my advice is of value for you. What does it do with the two of you?
Pedro is standing outside and looking at your tuk-tuk, and I don't know, he's just waiting for you. He's still pissed and desperate, actually.
Oh no! Oh, Pedro.
Well,
Pedro, he's scared and he's old, and that's not how. That's not what Uncle. That's not what the great smuggler Ricardo would say.
no, it's not.
I think we need to. I think I can help him. I'd like if you could help him too.
Yeah. You know how I could help him? By letting down my whole family. That's how I could help him. Because you're asking me to lose all our income. That's what you're asking me to do, Marcus. Is that really what you think is right here? I thought we were friends.
Maybe we can make something right about this, though. I have an idea.
Okay.
And like as we get into the tuk-tuk, we get out of the ring, get into the tuk-tuk, and I start telling you about how it's Juanita who's after all of this, who's driving out or who's pressuring my family to not even be able to even if they could help. I mean, you saw how scared he was.
So it's Juanita. I've been dealing with her. Huh.
Well, it doesn't sound like she has anyone's best interests at heart, except maybe her own.
Huh. Maybe we should expose her, you know?
And there's only one way to do that. And then I like rev the tuk-tuk.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Cool. I like it. And I'll say, yeah, thank you, Marcus. I knew I could count on you.
Cool. Is that enough for resolving influence between the two of you?
Yeah.
Do you feel like?
I can't tell how angry Sabine is at me right now.
No, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. My carrier, Pedro's angry at Marcus, but I'm not angry at you.
Oh, no, I know. Yeah.
So what is happening is you tell the others how that changes your character. Just a sentence.
Sabine, do you want to start that part?
Well, I think Pedro has realized now that he has actually responsibilities. And I think he is kind of growing into that he has to accept that he can just let go of everything. That's what he realized in this whole situation.
Okay, so this is just how I'm changed by this. I think that what I'm feeling from this is that like I've considered my family to be safe for a long time. That I can go to them with my problems and that they can help me. And I think that this is like this is a crack in that. Like this has been like a sturdy foundation for me for a long time. Like the legends that like the family would tell about like smuggling things in and out of Mexico, like all of that I'm calling into question now. And because I've never seen anyone quite so scared by someone being threatened by like a few slashed tires. I'm so angry about it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So we are running out of time, but I would feel sad not to have at least like a taste of a tuk-tuk race at the very end of this session. And I would love to have like everybody in, and Juanita for sure has to be in there. Maybe the two of you on the direction of the volcano, we will see what is going on there next week because the two of you will be around. Therefore, find a good excuse to join our little tuk-tuk race. We need to also speed up for the tuk-tuk race because we just have 15 minutes left. So it's a fast tuk-tuk race, but fast and furious is our slogan anyway. When you call for a tuk-tuk race, anytime, anything, can expect your opposition to have their own racing drivers in place, follow the instructions of a tuk-tuk race. Everybody who joins gets an unforgettable of their choice. You can then use later on. So the first thing you quickly need to do is decide how you prepare for the tuk-tuk race and what the tuk-tuk race is about. And my proposal, please intervene if you don't agree, is that Juanita wants to accelerate the process of destroying Pedro's fields, and by destroying a little wall, a stone wall, which is currently still keeping up terrain. Does that make sense? And let's see if we go faster than her there to stop her from doing this.
Cool. Let's do that.
Awesome.
Let's do that. Yeah. And if we fail, then we can smoke a joint together in the water. Cool. Okay. So when you prepare for Tz'utujil Grace, pick one of your stats and quickly roll on it. So if you choose Loco, then it's that get your blood rushing. Is it Fe? Then get your mind clear. Manus is get your extras fixed, and Corazon is get your emotions in place. And just pick one, quickly roll. What this decides is how much flow you start with. And flow is the currency you want to accumulate in the Tz'utujil Grace. Because if you want to make it first over the finishing line, you need to have a lot of flow.
Would just so that to have an excuse for
Yeah.
for Mina to be in it, would Pedro have like called up Mina, being like, "That bitch Juanita"?
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
He
it.
called her and asked where she was, and that he had received knowledge that Juanita was going to destroy his walls, and that he needed people to stop this greedy, arrogant, and he says a lot of angry words in Tz'utujil, which I don't know.
Schwachschick mal Josh.
That one, yes, that sounds like Klingon, but okay.
Yes.
Clip that and save it for later.
Also, I have an 11.
Whoa, very good. That means you start with 2 flow, and you can tell us how you arrive at the race, at the starting line, so to say. There's no official starting line, but this is a race.
So I think Pedro has remembered the stories of the Maya warriors who actually got into the fighting spirit with marijuana, which his grandmother has told him about a lot of times, actually, because he's always using it to mellow out, but there are other ways. So he will just get his blood rushing with that stuff. And it works. So he's actually, he isn't wearing the hat anymore. He is wearing very traditional clothing, and he has some token of the ancient fighting Maya saint in his pocket that his grandmother has given him. So he's really pumped to win this race.
If you would have just worn that to Ricardo's, it would have all gone great. I rolled with my my Loco because I've got the spirit of the smuggler in me now. Like I'm remembering the stories, and like if it was all like, even if it was all fake, like what I learned about that, like I'm gonna bring that into this race.
Nice.
You start with 1 flow, and when you're in the player slot, type your name in and move the little tuk-tuk symbol to flow 1. It's your starting flow. So, Brian, does Diego have a good reason to join the race, or not so good reason, or any reason?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't have a clear sense of that, I guess.
Well, this happened shortly after whatever we'll finish in next session. Like, Mina could have just asked, like, "Oh, like I just got a call from Pedro, and because since we have mutual influence right now, it's like, do you want to like help?" Would that work?
That would work. Or you are in there for Juanita. That could also
I
work.
was gonna say, like, I'm kind of trying to get along with Juanita, so. But that could be a reason to participate.
Absolutely.
To help her.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
need to win. You're one of the best racing drivers in town. Your decision. Maybe if you win, we will maybe only learn at the very end, because the winner of the race decides how this goes out, how this ends. Sounds good? All right.
So I rolled in an 11.
Ooh.
Because I rolled with my faith.
Mm-hmm.
Because standing for Pedro.
So how do you end up at the race? So how does it look like?
I think because she knows how good obviously how central this is for Pedro and everything. She hold on 1 second, sorry. Words suddenly in the most literal sense of she has faith in Pedro. She's always had faith in Pedro and his business and everything. And it's she wants him to succeed, and obviously to succeed he needs to keep his fields. And so she comes rushing through on the tuk-tuk already, determined. And she did it honking. It's because she has to get everybody's attention, and maybe hopefully they'll distract, Juanita or something.
All right. And Diego, how did you roll? How do you start into the race? Just any stat which suits you, which suits the way you prepare.
Okay, I think he's rolling Menos.
Okay.
Let's get rid of these dice. That's a 10.
10. So you start with 2 flow. And how comes you look so great in tuk-tuk?
I think he's just he's gotten his vehicle in top-notch shape. He's
for sure, yeah, for delivery purposes.
Yep. Sure. Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. So what normally now happens, so now we know how well everybody starts into the race. So Diego, you can also move your tuk-tuk on flow 2 in this chart. If you're all on this chart, I can also share that, by the way. Never mind. So what normally would happen is that each of us is describing one obstacle on our way. And then we roll and see how that changes our flow. Some people might pass through this easier and others less well. However, we're running out of time. And so we are just doing one obstacle. And then each of you describes how they pass through that. And that changes once your flow. And then we already go to the finishing line, which is then one more final roll. That should be doable if we quickly go through this. Okay, so the obstacle on our way, we have strong winds, and for sure, because we are in a magical realist environment, the strong winds are going through one narrow street through which we need to go, and the wind is blowing straight into our face, so that even although we go downhill, we can't go any further. It's such strong winds, no way to get through there. So we all need to roll 1d6, and if you roll 4 or more, you gain 1 flow. If you roll 1 or less, you lose 1 flow. If one person has the highest flow alone, they get a penalty of -2. This is not the case because several people have 2 flow. And usually when you describe obstacles, the one who describes the obstacle can give a bonus to one person and a penalty to one other person. We don't do this here because we just have one obstacle because of lack of time here. So roll 1d6 and move your tuk-tuk icon accordingly. And then I ask each of you how you pass through these obstacles given your dice result. 1d6 and then 1 or less, -1, 4 or more, +1. Okay, let's start on top. Pedro, how do you get through this strong wind channel?
I'm in a bit of trouble because I rolled only a 2, and I have some difficulty. In the end, I will just go around. I won't go around this. I will just fight my way through because I'm really focused. This is not the best course of action, just to put my foot to the pedal and just try to push it through, and I will arrive. It will make it through, but not as quickly as I'd hoped.
Okay. And Marcus, you're not doing any better. Or are you?
I rolled a 6. I flipped my dice down off to the bottom and rolled that one. And so the way that the Naga gets through these high winds on this narrow street is by having what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an old smuggler trick and get the I'm going to take the tuk-tuk and on the side street that I'm coming up to it on, I'm gonna like gather like a whole ton of speed, and then when I turn into that street, I turn it hard to the left, and so my wheels, the whole tuk-tuk falls on its side, and the wheels are like running along a building instead of on the ground. So the winds are blowing right over the tuk-tuk, and as I exit the street, I whip back to the right, and the tuk-tuk goes upright again.
Ooh, okay. Then Mina is next. How do you make it?
So I rolled a 4, so I get a little bit faster. Mina, she knows these streets obviously, and she knows the places where they're empty because that's how some of her liaisons happen. So she bypasses the wind entirely by going through the buildings, some of the empty buildings, to get a little bit more momentum.
Good, yes. And Diego, how do you make it?
Well, I rolled a 6.
Perfect.
I think I have a couple umbrellas that I pop out the side that break the wind for me, so I'm able to pass through.
Cool, yeah. With all the colors from the market, yes. Wonderful. Okay, have you moved your tuk-tuk already all into your final flow position? So, we are now close to the finishing line. Finishing line means you need to speed up. If you want to be first, if you want to win this race, you need to be the fastest tuk-tuk now. You can decide how fast you go. You just pick a number, and that's your speed. We reveal our speed at the same time. The tuk-tuk with the highest speed wins. So if you pick 11 and nobody else has 11, but less, you win. However, you need to beat the number, your speed number, with 2d6 plus your flow. So 2d6 plus 3 for Mina and Diego, and 2d6 plus 2 for Marcos and Pedro. And Juanita is, I haven't rolled for her, but yeah, she's on 1. I roll for her to see if she has 2, 0, or 1. So Juanita can also win if she has the highest speed and beats her speed. So if you have speed 11, you need to beat 2d6 plus 3 or plus 2 respectively, and so on. So your flow helps you, but even with the lowest flow, you could still win the race. If either the others go too fast and crash, because if you go too fast, you can crash, or because you were just too bold, more bold than the others. So we need to reveal our speed at the same time. And you can write that either in the sheet or in our chat, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. And I roll, by the way, a d6, and oh, I rolled a 5. So I also have speed too. So, are you all ready and understood what kind of speed you can enter there? Okay, then let's see who wins this race. I enter it in our sheet. And I need to... Yep. I want to win this race for sure. Okay, are you all ready? Then I count 3 to 0, and at 0 we reveal, right? Ah, you're already there. Okay. Okay, sorry. Wow. Okay, yeah. Enter your names there. Then we're gonna see your speed in the other sheet, and then we can see how we resolve this. Okay. So we can quickly see if Marcus or Juanita will win the race. They both have 2 flow and the same speed. So if they both beat their speed, it's a tie. Now, I need to pick another d6. I only have one d6 here. And here we go. So, Marcus, what did you roll?
I rolled an 11.
11! You crashed. We come back to that. I rolled a 7 plus 2. I also crash. Who has the next highest speed? Who could win this race?
I could, but I don't. I have a 5.
Oh, you crash as well. So we want to see if actually Diego is winning this race. Can you beat a 9 with 2d6 plus 3? Then you won the race.
Yeah, I rolled a 11.
You made it. And Mina, we want to know if you crash or if you make it. It looks very likely you make it.
So I roll now, right? And I'm trying to beat my number?
You need to beat your number, 7 or more, with 2d6 plus 3.
Yeah, I do.
So you do.
8.
Okay, you make it.
I also got
So
an 11.
you see 3 crashes before the finishing line. 2 people make it, but there's only one winner, and that is Diego. Diego Sojuel is the winner of our first tuk-tuk race. And usually if we have more time, we'd surely describe like how the crashes look like. But for now, Diego can make a decision now. And we have the interesting result that Diego needs to decide, do the fields get flooded? Do you want Juanita still be on your side, or do you want to have serious trouble with your aunt? Or with Mina and your other potential friends?
Oh, Diego didn't want to win. He didn't want to have this choice.
Went fast.
Well, he was going a little bit slower. He was holding back a little bit, and then everyone in front of him crashed.
I think Mina got distracted when she saw Pedro crash. Both Pedro and Marcus crashed, so she got worried for them.
Oh,
and that's why Mina didn't. She didn't crash. Yeah.
Diego's trying to be close so that his aunt couldn't say he wasn't trying, but he was going to let them win, and then they just whacked out, and he's like, "Oh no!"
And Mina just completely stopped, right before the finish line, and was like, "No."
And I think Diego sides with his aunt for now. That's the way it goes.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, do I have time for a quick detail? I think that like as Juanita and Marcus are like speeding ahead of the pack at the beginning, like Marcus yells out of the tuk-tuk to Pedro, "I'll get Juanita, you win the race," and I run Juanita off the road.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. And Pedro just underestimates the strength of the wind. He just gets out of the strong wind, and then he tries to make a turn, and he just crashes down into the city, and then probably it won't matter if the fields are flooded or not, because, well, he's not in a good shape after that.
There we go. Oh, it's already past our playtime. Thank you so much for playing. If you have something you would like to say for an epilogue, then there's still an opportunity, but I have the feeling that the final sentences of a tuk-tuk race are sometimes more than what you could express in words.
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm sad that I don't see Sabine and Barry the next time, but I'm looking forward to learn more about Diego and Mina, especially after this result.
Yeah, I think Mina got so distracted she didn't realize that Diego wasn't on our side, and she went to go help Pedro and just so that Sabine gets this and to end, she gives Pedro like a worried kiss, like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're okay," kind of thing.
Yeah, he's not okay. So really not okay. So he tries to pretend that he is, but he's really not. So
yeah,
he has to go to, I don't know, hospital or whatever he can afford. Maybe he can sell Juanita his fields. That would solve bitch.
I'm sure we take revenge next session.
Yes, please do, and have a lot of fun. For those who continue playing.
I hope you all have a blast next week, because this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Gerrit. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I stopped the broadcast here, and if somebody still has time and it's not already 2 a.m. in the morning for them.
10 after 2, so I'm going. I need to go to bed. I have to write. All right. So
good night.
Yeah,
good night. Sleep